Welcome to 8 Minutes Chinese. Today, we're unlocking the essential phrases you can use in daily life and master in your next business negotiation.
Imagine walking into a really high-stakes business negotiation. You're pitching this incredibly tough, cynical crowd in a boardroom.
Oh, the worst kind of crowd.
That's right. They have their arms crossed, and you just know they've heard every pitch under the sun, but you absolutely need to win them over.
That's a lot of pressure.
It totally is. Or, picture a completely different scenario. Say you are just trying to impress your partner who has had a grueling, stressful week and feels entirely disconnected.
So we're looking at two wildly different environments here.
Exactly. But what if I told you the key to succeeding in both of those situations is actually a 2,500-year-old military strategy?
I mean, it does sound like a massive leap, right? Taking battlefield tactics and dropping them into the boardroom or the living room.
Yeah, it sounds a little crazy.
But the most effective business strategies, and honestly some of the best interpersonal advice we have, often stem from understanding fundamental human vulnerabilities. And, well, those vulnerabilities haven't changed in millennia.
That is exactly where we are heading today. Welcome to the Deep Dive. We are unpacking a fascinating cultural and linguistic journey today, looking at how an ancient battlefield tactic evolved into a masterclass for modern workplace dynamics, marketing, and even daily life.
It's a really incredible evolution to track.
It is. Now, really quickly, we have a strict rule for this deep dive. Our mission today involves learning some key vocabulary. So we are going to strictly follow this format. We will speak the Chinese words slowly and clearly first, ensuring accurate pronunciation, and then provide the English explanation.
Right, because getting the language right is crucial here. The words themselves hold the strategy.
Exactly. And honestly, this is going to be such a great shortcut for you listening. If you use this framework, you are going to sound incredibly sharp and strategic in your next meeting.
You really will. But, before we can apply this to your office or your market strategy, we kind of need to understand the mechanics of the original tactic.
Right. Where did this specific framework actually come from?
Well, we have to travel back to the 5th century BC to a text called Senzbeng. Shenzhen is the military strategist that most people in the West know as Sun Tzu.
Okay, Sun Tzu.
And Beng Beng translates directly to military strategy. So Sun Tzu's The Art of War. And this text, it wasn't just a collection of theoretical, philosophical musings.
It wasn't just poetry.
Not at all. It was a highly practical, fairly ruthless manual written for generals commanding real armies on real, violent battlefields.
Wow. And nestled right within that heavy manual is our core strategy for today. It's a really famous idiom, Gunqiubei Chuqibuyi, Gunqiubei Chuqibuyi.
Which means attack where the enemy is unprepared, strike where they least expect it.
Attack where they are unprepared, strike where they least expect it.
Yeah, that phrase is basically the absolute cornerstone of competitive advantage. To really grasp why this is so remarkably powerful, even today, we should break down the anatomy of the phrase itself.
Let's do it. Walk me through the first half.
Okay, so the first half is wu bei. Wu bei. Wu means without, and bei means preparation. So without preparation or caught off guard.
Okay, without preparation.
Right. You are actively searching for the exact moment when the opposing force is simply not ready to defend themselves.
I think the natural instinct when we hear the word attack in a military context is to immediately picture brute force.
Oh, absolutely. Like a frontal assault.
Yeah. We think of sheer volume, massive armies clashing, whoever has the biggest sword wins, just hitting them before their morning coffee with everything you've got.
Which is usually a terrible strategy.
Right. Because this idiom suggests that true strategic advantage isn't about being the loudest or having the biggest budget. It's entirely about timing. It's finding that specific window of Wu Bei unpreparedness.
Hitting them before they've even had time to put their armor on?
Exactly. But timing alone isn't always enough, is it? Especially if the competition knows you are out there somewhere.
No, timing alone is often insufficient. And that brings us to the second half of the strategy, which is critical. Chuqibuyi. Chuqibuyi.
Which means to catch someone off guard.
Yes, to do the unexpected. This half is actually so culturally ingrained today that you'll often hear it used completely on its own in modern Chinese.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Chu means to emerge or go out, and buyi means against expectations. So you are emerging from a physical or psychological space they hadn't even considered.
I love that. My mind immediately goes to geometry when you say that.
Geometry, how so?
Well, the first half, Wu Bei, is all about the timing on the clock, right? Finding the right moment. But Chuki Bu Yi is entirely about the angle of the approach.
Oh, I see what you mean.
Yeah, it's not just ambushing someone when they're tired. It's emerging from their blind spot. You aren't running straight at their heavily fortified front gate.
Right, because that's where all their defenses are.
Exactly. You are scaling the crumbling back wall that they didn't even bother to guard because they just assumed it was impossible to cross.
That geometric distinction is totally vital. You know, Sun Tzu was ostensibly looking at troop formations, but he was actually observing human psychology.
It's all psychology in the end.
It really is. When a human being expects an attack from the front, their cognitive and physical resources are heavily fortified in that single direction.
They get tunnel vision.
Precisely.
Yeah.
Their attention is entirely monopolized by the front gate. Consequently, their blind spot isn't just unprotected, it is practically invisible to them.
And human predictability really hasn't changed since the 5th century. It's the exact same psychological blind spot that modern companies are exploiting today.
Without a doubt.
Whether you are facing an opposing army, a skeptical client, or a massive corporate rival, resistance is always highest where it is most predictable.
Because that's where the armor is.
Right. So if you want to win, you find the moment and the angle where resistance is lowest. Which perfectly explains how this idiom has been completely co-opted by modern business and internet culture.
Which is known as Linglu Wenhua Glugna Inglu Wenhua, internet culture.
All right, Ringlo Wenua. So how exactly is this playing out in the modern marketplace?
Well, it has essentially become a foundational business model, particularly in retail. The clearest example in our sources is the massive explosion of Wang He.
Wang He.
Wang He.
Okay, what is that?
Mamo means blind, and He means box. So blind box. This is a wildly popular retail format in China, and it's spreading globally.
Oh, I think I've seen these.
Probably. Consumers buy a sealed box containing a collectible toy or item, but they have absolutely no idea which specific figure is inside until they actually tear it open.
Wait, I have to pause you right there.
Okay.
Because the economics of that sound completely backwards to me.
How so?
We live in an era of hyper-informed consumers. I mean, I read like 10 reviews before buying a toaster. Why would millions of people willingly hand over their money for a piece of plastic when they don't even know what they are getting?
Because they aren't paying for the plastic.
What are they paying for then?
They are paying for the psychological mechanism of Chu Kibuyi. They are paying for the unexpected. Toy companies realize that in a world where consumers can search, compare, filter, and predict every single online purchase, predictability has become incredibly boring.
That makes a lot of sense.
The moment of surprise, the act of catching the consumer's brain off guard, is the actual product.
So they're literally monetizing the dopamine hit.
Exactly. It's behavioral psychology at its finest.
They're essentially creating an intentional blind spot for the consumer and then charging them for a tiny, joyful surprise attack on their own brain.
That's a great way to put it. When you know what you are buying, your brain's expectation baseline is met. The dopamine release is flat.
Right, no surprise, no thrill.
But when you open a Mong He, your brain is in a state of Wu Bei, unprepared for the specific outcome. When that rare figure emerges, the unexpected nature of the reveal triggers a massive dopamine spike.
They bypass the rational, budget-conscious part of the brain completely.
Yep, they're using the geometry of surprise.
That is just wild. But the sources indicate the business applications go way beyond retail toys, right? We are seeing this same idiom used to describe aggressive corporate maneuvers.
Oh, absolutely.
Like, say, a small, agile startup completely disrupting an industry giant.
It's the exact same dynamic. Picture a massive legacy corporation. They operate on a rigid, predictable quarterly schedules. They telegraph their product launches months in advance.
They are completely predictable.
Right. A startup can't beat them with a frontal assault. They just don't have the capital. So what do?
They launch a disruptive product completely out of nowhere.
Exactly. Precisely when the corporate giant is Wu Bei unprepared, the large company is caught flat-footed because the startup emerged from outside their expectations.
Okay, let's bring this down to the individual listener's daily grind. Say you're listening and you have a bold, slightly risky new project you want to pitch to your boss.
Okay, a classic workplace scenario.
And you know your manager is going to be resistant. The standard, predictable corporate move is to wait for the official quarterly performance review, sit across the desk, and make a formal slide deck presentation.
Which is the modern equivalent of marching your tiny armies straight into a fortified castle.
Exactly. Think about the manager's psychological state during a quarterly review. They're expecting people to ask for promotions, increase budgets, more resources.
They are mentally armored and primed to say no.
Yes. If you pitch there, you are attacking their strongest point of defense.
So, using the Sun Tzu approach, you avoid the frontal assault entirely.
Right. You wait for a moment when they are wu-bei unprepared.
Like when?
Maybe you bring it up as a hypothetical solution to a totally different problem they are venting about while you were both walking to get coffee on a Friday afternoon.
That is the optimal strategy. You emerge from a direction they hadn't anticipated.
Wait, let me push back on that for a second, though.
Sure.
If I corner my boss in the hallway while they're just trying to get a latte, isn't that a bit unprofessional? Doesn't the element of surprise just turn into pure annoyance? You don't want to ambush your boss.
That is a crucial distinction to make. An ambush implies aggression and high stakes.
Mm-hmm.
We are talking about a strategic insertion of an idea.
Okay, so a softer approach.
Right. You aren't demanding a budget in the hallway. You are introducing the concept. Because they are relaxed and not in defense mode, their critical filters are lowered.
Oh, I see.
They are actually open to listening to the merits of your idea because they didn't see the formal pitch coming.
So it's about lowering the friction. Because it's a casual environment, the stakes are low, which means their psychological armor is down.
Exactly. You've turned a battlefield tactic into a low-friction office negotiation strategy.
It really reframes what we consider strategy to be. It's not just about having the best data or the prettiest slides. It's about deeply managing the emotional state of the person sitting across from you.
It requires really high emotional intelligence. You are utilizing the element of surprise to bypass their established biases. And honestly, if you think managing emotional states is interesting in the boardroom,
Oh, here we go.
it becomes absolutely fascinating when we look at how this applies to our personal lives.
This is where the sources get incredibly compelling, because the ultimate proof of just how versatile this 2,500-year-old framework is what happens when you remove the aggression entirely.
And replace it with affection.
Exactly. We are moving from the battlefield straight into modern romance.
To explore this, we have to examine a platform called Xinghongshu.
Which translates to Little Red Book.
Yes. But despite the name, it has absolutely nothing to do with historical political manifestos.
Good to clarify.
It is currently China's leading platform for lifestyle content, product reviews, and crucially, dating and relationship advice.
I think our sources described it as a highly curated intersection of Instagram and Pinterest.
That's a perfect way to describe it.
And on this hyper-modern, aesthetics-driven app, you have influencers and everyday users actively advising each other to use chukibuyi to do the unexpected in their romantic relationships.
It's everywhere on there.
I just have to marvel at the irony here. We are using the exact same classical vocabulary for an ancient general plotting to destroy a rival kingdom.
Yeah.
A cutthroat tech startup launching a hostile takeover and buying surprise flowers for your spouse. It's wild.
It seems contradictory on the surface, I know. But the underlying emotional logic of romance heavily parallels the strategic logic of war.
How so?
Well, when a relationship becomes entirely predictable, it can easily stagnate. Predictability breeds a kind of emotional blindness. Routine becomes a weakness.
So surprise is a mechanism for renewal.
Exactly.
Let's look at the example the sources provide regarding Valentine's Day, because Valentine's Day is arguably the most predictable day of the year for romance.
Oh, completely.
If you bring your partner a lavish bouquet of flowers and take them to a fancy dinner on Valentine's Day, you are essentially attacking the strongest, most fortified wall of their expectations.
From a psychological standpoint, the partner already knows the gesture is coming. It is mandated by the calendar.
You literally have to do it.
Right. And because the expectation baseline is so high, the emotional impact of the gesture is severely minimized. It is completely expected.
The defense in this case, their emotional numbness to routine, it holds strong.
But if you apply the Sun Tzu method, you skip the massive, expensive Valentine's Day assault.
Right. Instead, you wait for a random, miserable Tuesday in November.
Yes.
Your partner has had a terrible week at work, it's raining, they're just exhausted. And unprompted, you show up with their absolute favorite takeout food and a small gift.
In that exact moment, they are entirely wu-bei unprepared.
Yeah, you have emerged from a direction they hadn't imagined.
And because their expectation baseline for a random Tuesday evening was remarkably low, the dopamine response to your unexpected positive gesture is massively amplified.
The defensive walls of their daily stress are down, but instead of hitting them with a spear, you are hitting them with warmth and affection.
It is the exact same geometric approach, finding the right timing and the right angle.
Surprise used with warmth builds and deepens a relationship just as effectively as surprise used with aggression breaks an enemy line. I mean, that is just beautiful.
It really fundamentally changes how we ought to view classical idioms, don't you think?
Totally.
These phrases aren't dusty museum pieces meant only for academic translation. They are living, breathing psychological tools. The core mechanics of human attention, expectation, and emotion haven't changed in 2.5 millennia.
It's brilliant. You can literally take the framework meant for outmaneuvering an army and use it to make your partner feel incredibly loved and seen on a weekday.
It's all about how you apply it.
As we pull all of these threads together, the journey of this one phrase is just astounding. Gunki wube, chuki bui, attack where the enemy is unprepared, strike where they least expect it.
We really started with military doctrine designed for survival and conquest.
And then we tracked how that same philosophy became the engine driving the modern blind box economy.
Monetizing the dopamine hit of the unexpected.
Yeah. And then we adapted it into a strategy for the modern employee, learning to pitch our boldest ideas in the hallway when the boss's defensive shields are completely down.
And finally, we saw it transformed into a blueprint for Tuesday afternoon romance on Huangshu.
It just proves that true influence, whether you are trying to win a boardroom pitch, capture a market, or just make someone smile, it relies profoundly on the element of surprise.
It highlights a vital skill for navigating modern life. You have to be deeply, constantly aware of expectations, both your own baselines and the baselines of the people around you.
Because if you know exactly what someone expects, you know exactly where their blind spots are.
Precisely.
But before we wrap up today, there's one final incredibly provocative thought hidden at the very end of our source material.
Oh, yes, this is a fascinating turn.
The text briefly teases an upcoming cultural topic that has sparked massive, ongoing debate in modern society. It is a concept known as tangping. Tangping.
Which translates to lying flat.
Lying flat. What exactly is that?
Well, tangping is a fascinating social movement. At its core, it is a generational statement about opting out of the relentless, hyper-competitive rat race.
Okay.
It is the conscious, deliberate decision to stop striving for endless promotions, to stop buying into the intense pressure of constant consumption, and to just do the bare minimum required to get by.
To literally lie flat and refuse to participate in the hustle.
Exactly.
And when you place that concept next to everything we've unpacked today, it creates this incredible philosophical tension.
It really does.
I mean, we just spent this entire deep dive examining a hyper-competitive world where everyone is using ancient strategy against you. Startups are trying to disrupt your business.
Marketers are exploiting your dopamine baselines to sell you blind boxes.
Your colleagues are trying to outpitch you when your guard is down. Even romantic partners are being advised to catch you off guard with chuki bui.
The world never, ever stops attacking your blind spots.
Which leaves us with a profound question about the nature of defense in the modern era. If constant vigilance is impossible, what is the alternative?
That's the million-dollar question.
I wonder if lying flat is actually a strategic maneuver itself. Think about it. If you are standing up, playing the game, climbing at the corporate ladder, you have a front, a back, and multiple blind spots.
You can be outflanked.
But if you are lying completely flat on the ground, do you even have a blind spot anymore?
That is the ultimate question. If you refuse to accumulate the things that make you a target, status, wealth, corporate power, can anyone really catch you off guard?
By removing the expectations entirely, you essentially remove the geometry of the attack.
You take away the angle.
It's a staggering thought. So I want you, listening right now, to think about this. The next time you walk into that high-stakes boardroom, or the next time you feel completely overwhelmed by the pressure to always be one step ahead of the competition.
It's a lot to consider.
It is. In a world where absolutely everyone is utilizing ancient tactics to catch you when you are hubei unprepared, is ping-ping lying flat the ultimate unbreakable defense? Because if you refuse to stand up and play the game, can anyone really defeat you? Something for you to ponder.
Hope you loved today's 8-minute upgrade. Don't forget to subscribe for more, and I'll see you next time.